Broadcasting live from the basement of the Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
Please enjoy the show. Shots.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
Hi, Lieutenant. How are you doing? Aw, did you find your land nav point, Lieutenant? Good job, Lieutenant. You get a
Expert Action Badge.
Put on your uniform right?
Expert Action Badge.
Show up to work on time.
Expert Action Badge.
Qualify on your weapon.
Expert Action Badge. Badge of Action.
Find your guidon.
Expert Action Badge.
That's right. Just doing your noble warrior task and drills, you get a
Expert Action Badge.
each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
Please enjoy the show. Shots.
Shit in a bag, Pogue. Badge of Action.
The voice of U.S. Army WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Action Badge.
Yay, action badges. Good afternoon, WTF Nation. It is I, KJ, with a hangover the size of Malaysia, casually pacing around outside the Functional Veteran Center of Excellence, sipping on water and drinking and just eating Motrin like it's candy. Apparently, Foster's Australian for beer tastes really fucking good. But, everyone's human, and I will not fail in my quest to deliver you quality content with a throbbing, massive headache. So let's get to it. Oh, Jesus. Why am I so loud? Okay. It's the day. It's the do-all and end-all day for net neutrality. And I'm going to talk about it one more time. I'm going to talk about it real quickly. And then we're going to proceed forward. And as the hearing continues on the major news networks, hopefully when it goes back up, I will bring it back up and have the audio playing so that y'all can follow along with us. But like I said before, it's designed to prevent ISPs like Verizon, AT&T, Comcast, and Charter from favoring some sites and apps over others. And the Federal Communications Commission Chairman, Ajit Pai, a Republican, on Tuesday unveiled a plan to undo the Obama-era rules that have been in place since 2015. It is the principle that internet providers have to treat all web traffic equally, and it's pretty much how the internet has worked since its creation. But regulators and consumer advocates and internet companies were concerned about what broadband companies could do with their power as a pathway to the internet, blocking or slowing down apps that rival their own services. For example, in 2015, the FCC approved rules on a party line vote that made sure cable and phone companies don't manipulate traffic. With that in place, for example, a provider such as Comcast can't charge Netflix for a faster path to its customers or block it or slow it down. The net neutrality rules gave the FCC power to go after companies for business practices that weren't explicitly banned as well. For example, the FCC said that zero rating practices by AT&T violated net neutrality. The telecom giant exempted its own video app from cell phone data caps, which would save some consumers money, and said video rivals could pay for the same treatment. Pai's FCC spiked the effort to go after AT&T even before it began rolling out a plan to undo the net neutrality rules entirely. As well as a federal appeals court upheld the ruling after the broadband providers sued them. So, the FCC put it out, the regulations are in place, the broadband company sued, and the Department of Justice said, no, this is fucking legal. So, of course, what the telecompanies want. They don't want stricter regulation that comes with net neutrality rules. They say the regulations can undermine investment in broadband and introduce uncertainty about what were acceptable business practices. There were concerns about potential price regulation, even though the FCC has said it won't set prices for consumer internet services. Lo and behold, they haven't. What Silicon Valley wants. Google has strongly backed net neutrality, but many tech firms have been more muted in their activism this year. Netflix, which had been a vocal which had been vocal in support of the rules in 2015, said in January that weaker net neutrality wouldn't hurt it because it's now too popular for users of broadband providers to interfere. What happens next? Pi distributed his alternative plan to the other FCC commissioners Tuesday in preparation for today's vote. Although the FCC's two Democrats say that they will oppose the proposal, the repeal is likely to prevail as Republicans dominate 3-2. The vote for net neutrality in 2015 was also along party lines, but Democrats dominated then. In the long run, net neutrality advocates say undoing these rules make it harder for the government to crack down on internet providers who act against consumer interest and will harm innovation. Those who criticize the rules say undoing them is good for investment in broadband networks. And you've all heard my 2 cents about this. I begged you for weeks, contact people, get in communication, and hopefully we can keep net neutrality, because the harsh reality is that if you have AT&T, Verizon, Comcast, Charter, whatever you have for internet, this magical fuckball that is the internet that we access through Google Chrome and Internet Explorer and Firefox and Safari, it is a giant cavalcade of just stuff. There are so many things you can find, from the outstanding to the, oh my God, what the hell did I just see? And unfortunately, this is one of the greatest communications tools our generation and our world has ever seen. And the only way it can go is progressively forward by pulling back net neutrality and preventing and pulling back the ability to prevent ISPs from favoring other sites and apps. Means that we as the consumer will end up losing. If these ISPs decide, oh, well, we need to charge Netflix more to get to their users, then Netflix is going to have to raise their prices. And, oh, well, you use Google, and I'm Comcast, and I don't like it that you use Google Chrome. Well, we're going to charge you a little bit more for charge Google a little bit more because reasons. Fuck, I'm sorry, that was not very coherent. We're going to charge Google a little bit more to for them to get to you on their browser because of we got to make that little extra buck. It is, I'm all for capitalism. However, when it comes to the internet, when it comes to the insanity and the beauty of this giant ball of fuckery that we have, it's fantastic. And net neutrality needs to fucking stay. And you know what? I did say it, they're taking away. I mean, for fuck's sake, Pornhub is the one fucking website that's been like, hey, guess what? We're going to digitize all your fucking porn in protest of net neutrality. That was so fucking fun. You know how hard it was to rub one out, seeing nothing but fucking pixels? For the first time in close to like 10 years, I've had to fucking imagine what a fucking titty looks like. It was hard as shit. I mean, it wasn't hard as shit to imagine what a titty looks like, but goddamn, it was annoying because there was just pixels. I couldn't even see the chick get the fucking cum shot. The money shot was gone. It was just pixelated. It was no fun. When the hearing goes back in place, I will rebroadcast it. I have it up and running. Here we go. We have it up and running from through Fox 10 Phoenix, and let's hear what the chairman of the FCC has to say.
Regarding the substance and process. While repealing net neutrality rules grabs headlines, reversing the classification of broadband internet access service as a Title II telecommunications service is far more consequential. Net neutrality started as a consumer issue, but it soon became a stepping stone to impose vastly more onerous common carrier regulations on broadband companies. Even the previous chairman initially attempted to reinstate net neutrality rules under more limited legal authority, and many companies would have accepted the compromise and lived with net neutrality rules as long as the commission didn't impose Title II. But thanks to one infamous YouTube video posted by the prior administration, this so-called independent agency was quickly railroaded into treating ISPs like public utilities instead. As discussed at length in the order, and the dissents of Chairman Pai and myself wrote in response to 2015 order, there were fundamental legal problems and factual errors underlying that decision to treat fixed and mobile broadband services as telecommunications services. Additionally, that decision opened the door for much broader regulation of broadband providers, and as we saw, the Commission quickly walked through that door. Under this structure, companies continue to face uncertainty that business decisions, commercial negotiations, service offerings, and pricing decisions would be scrutinized by the Commission. I believe that these legitimate concerns were well-founded, and if there had not been a change in administration, the agency would have proceeded further down the path as demonstrated by its zero-rating witch hunt. The decision to reinstate the classification of both fixed and mobile broadband internet access service as an information service under Section 3 and reinstate the classification of mobile broadband as a private mobile service under Section 332 eliminates these concerns and restores a sensible bipartisan approach to broadband services. Under this framework, the FCC asserts jurisdiction over broadband internet access service as an interstate information service, but applies regulation only to the extent warranted to address specific concrete concerns. With the elimination of Title II, there's no remaining legal basis for the net neutrality bright line rules and general conduct standard, so we must repeal them. In many proceedings before this agency, I've questioned the need for rules that impose costs but do not solve real problems, so the removal is completely appropriate and necessary. That isn't necessarily the end of the story, however. Congress may enact legislation providing new rules and legal authority to support them. I firmly believe that that would be the better course and the only way to get finality to this issue. I would humbly suggest, however, that the general conduct standard remain forever in the ash heap. This
Not gonna lie, this dude sounds like a fucking tool.
unbounded power to make up the rules as it went along, a frightening prospect. Businesses could find themselves subject to investigation without any prior notice that the conduct could be considered a violation. One public interest group even called the catch-all a recipe for overreach and confusion. It was the height of regulatory capriciousness and should never.
And of course, the stream decides
Similarly,
to cut out.
I am hopeful that
Sorry
if
about
the
that. We're
Congress
back up.
does go down this path, it will see merit in rejecting a ban on paid prioritization. Clearly, there are cases today, and many more that will develop in time, in which the option of a paid prioritization offering would be a necessity based on either technology or needs of consumer welfare. I, for one, see great value in the prioritization of telemedicine and autonomous car technology over cat videos. And speaking of autonomous cars, we must ensure that wireless providers can manage their systems. Wireless networks have capacity constraints based on the physics of the spectrum they use. Generally, wireless use is booming, and more Americans are using wireless networks to access the internet. But this is just the beginning. Consider that each autonomous car vehicle is predicted to generate an additional 4 terabytes of data a day, much of which will be carried by wireless networks. It is hard to imagine that some prioritization of traffic will not be necessary, further undermining attempts to ban such practices. Although the order eliminates the bright line rules and general conduct standard, it does leave a version of the transparency requirements in place. In fact, the requirements are more extensive than those first adopted in 2010. While I remain skeptical of the legal authority for them or their value given the FTC's authority.
You know, Phoenix, you're kind of killing me here with
from
your
what is
stream.
described, it'll be subject to the investigation.
Okay, fuck you, Fox 10 Phoenix. You guys can't fucking keep a string up if your life fucking depended on it. Way to fucking go, Phoenix. Harsh reality, folks. If this passes, then you can expect, and what that gentleman was just talking about was the internet from the early 2000s, where everybody had AOL. Everybody had the same bullshit. We all had the same stuff. Where at this point, we don't. The biggest problem with net neutrality and how it affects us as consumers is that I'm in an area where Comcast is king. Oh yeah, I can get AT&T, but AT&T doesn't reach my house. So, fuck me, right? Well, there's no ability for capitalism, for consumerism to actually fucking be effective here in this situation. So I have to deal with Comcast, God help me. Y'all heard it last Thursday with me and Comcast. And I have to sit there and suck it up and deal with it. We need to treat internet service providers, when it comes to the internet, as a public utility, because they have already sectioned and regioned themselves off. Time Warner is in Florida. Comcast is in Tennessee. Who's the other one? AT&T is spotty throughout the country. Charter is in I believe Charter's in New York with Optimum. You know, it's they all operate in their own sections. There is almost no overlap and overlay, and there's really no way for me to go, well, you know, I really hate having Comcast. I'll switch to AT&T. It's offered in my area. No, it's not. That's why, you know, like Google Fiber. Google Fiber is something I am so excited for. And with net neutrality coming, I'm now terrified for Google Fiber, because there was a internet service provider that is basically the search engine of the internet. If you ever go to a website and you go to their search option, it's 99% of the time powered by Google. And that's the appalling thing here. We have these internet providers that can now charge internet companies, internet organizations, websites, etc., 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 and say, "Oh, you want to reach more consumers? Pay up, motherfucker." I mean, for fuck's sake. God forbid. God for fucking bid that I mean, all right. Think about this. YouTube. YouTube is one of the greatest mediums for information delivery out there. How many times have you sat there and you didn't know how to do something? I'll just YouTube it. I sure as shit did when I had to change the brakes on my car for the first time. I am not a car guy, by the way, you know, but I learned how to change my brakes from fucking YouTube. At the same time, I got finished. I got done. I'm covered in grease. I got to go take a shower. I went on YouTube, popped on some fucking music. After that, I came down, sat at my desk, went to go play some Arma. Needed to look up something new about the patch notes. Didn't want to read the 6 billion fucking word fucking essay about the new patch. Watched a video about it. I mean, this is something that one thing that we all use, which YouTube is owned by Google. Hey Google, I'm Verizon. Oh, you want people to be able to see your YouTube videos? Not a problem. That'll be $4.99 per user. And that is a very real possibility. I'm all for consumerism. I'm all for capitalism. But right now, with the way the internet service providers are set up, there is no way for consumerism or capitalism. No fucking way. There was an excellent, excellent argument presented today in the case. I'm going to read it to you by one of the Democratic commissioners. This is first Commissioner Mignon Clyburn, as one of the dissenters. And here's her statement. I dissent from this fiercely spun, legally lightweight, consumer-harming, corporate-enabling, destroying internet freedom order. I dissent because I'm among the millions who is outraged. Outraged because the SEC pulls its own teeth, abdicating responsibility to protect the nation's broadband consumers. Why are we witnessing such an unprecedented groundswell of public support for keeping the 2015 net neutrality protections in place? And that is 100% true, because every goddamn swinging dick that uses the internet is sitting there going, I don't want to see the lag. Because the public can plainly see that a soon-to-be toothless FCC is handing the keys to the internet, one of the most remarkable, empowering, enabling inventions of our lifetime, over to a handful of multi-billion-dollar corporations. And if past is prologue, those very same broadband internet service providers that the majority says you should trust to do right by you will put profits and shareholder returns above what is best for you. And that's right. First of all, that's exactly capitalism right there. The companies need to put their profits and their shareholders, they need to take care of them. And I understand that. But when it comes to something that is as necessary in our day-to-day lives as the internet, there needs to be no phrase in that goes, trust us, we'll do right by you. No, I don't trust anyone when it comes to my ability to look up something, when it comes to my ability to research something on the internet or to watch a video or anything. The internet is by far, I mean, for fuck's sake, this show is on the internet. This fucking show, this entire fucking station is internet based. And what the fuck happens when the server, when the people, wherever the server is at, and the people that own the server can't have the connections that are needed for us to broadcast, for us to relay our voices, our opinions, the news, the jokes, the laughter, the fun, the tears. What happens? Well, we go off the air. We're not able to run. I mean, that's the harsh reality here, folks. Net neutrality ending, at the very worst, makes it to where small businesses and companies like ours, like WTF Nation Radio, now have to compete actively and vehemently in a way that we've never had to compete before. Because don't worry, we're Verizon, we're AT&T, and we got your back. Fucking sure as fucking shit, I know as for a matter of fact that Pantero's Pizza here where I live, they ain't gonna be able to compete against Domino's when it comes to online ordering if net neutrality gets passed. And Domino's, you want more people to see that you got your 2 for $5.99 deal, 2 or more for $5.99 deal? Not a problem. $4.99 per person. Domino's sit there and say, okay, not a big deal. But Pantero's, which offers one large pizza, buy a large pizza, get a free one, and it's a large 22-inch pizza, and it's a better pizza. Oh, Pantero's, you want to offer this? You want to offer your buy one get one free? Not a problem. That'll be $4.99. Bitch, I got 6 employees in 2 locations. I can't even afford that. And there I go. There I lose all my fucking internet coupons from fucking Pantero's. Imagine certain industries that solely exist on the internet. One industry, the extreme sports industry, airsoft, paintball, skateboarding, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, there are skate shops, there are little airsoft shops, there are paintball shops. You're right, absolutely 100%. But where the fuck do you think they order all their product from? So using airsoft, which is my personal hobby, using airsoft. Hey, National Airsoft, you want to order off of Evike, who's all the way in California? Okay, Evike, by the way, because you get so much traffic, if you want your people to keep getting your deals, keep getting to see all your ad, all that shit, $4.99 a person. You want to be able to get through the Verizon toll? Give us $10,000. And Evike.com's going to go, what? This is shit. Like, yeah, DMAC, even your company. People are going to suffer. The little man is going to suffer. And the internet, the internet is meant for all. It's not meant for a select few. There's a book, and it's actually being made into a movie. The book is called Ready Player One. Excellent book. If you have not read it, read it. It is a geek's anthem, and it is fantastic, and it is a fun read. But in the book Ready Player One, and I know I'm sounding a little Alex Jonesy, but cut me some slack here. At least I'm not fucking comparing President Obama's administration to fucking the first Star Wars trilogy. Well, the prequels. But in the book, the internet, in that book, which is called The Oasis, which is the browser for everything internet-wise, is completely open and free. You can go and play World of Warcraft. You can go and live your own fantasy life. You can go actually work. And the harsh reality is that is a very good representation of what the internet is today. I can play my games, I can watch my videos, I can learn. How many people here do online schooling? Let's look at that one. How many of our brothers and sisters are taking classes online? How many of our brothers and sisters are taking classes online, and now schools might have to pay to get to their students for the online classes? Oh, hello, Nashville State Community College or Middle Tennessee State University or Harvard or etc., etc., etc. You want to have an online class? Oh, you want to do a dissertation with all your students at the same time? Okay, not a problem. Well, make sure you have that. Make sure you have that ability, that speedway through the internet. You're gonna have to pay up. Come on, Harvard. Come on, Nashville State. Come on, University of South Florida. Come on, pay up. Can you imagine? Like right now, it takes about 30 seconds to a minute to get a fucking email when I forget one of my billions of passwords. It takes me about 30 seconds to go, oh, fuck, forget password, put in my username, put in my email, get the email, reset the password, I'm done. I remember back in the early 2000s, even though I was barely fucking in my teens, but I remember back in the early 2000s when it took fucking a year and a half. It's already your fucking birthday. It's like, oh, hey, I get my new password for fucking newgrounds.com. Woo! Ah, but here's the part you're missing, Chris. Schools pay for internet, and that is completely correct, but with the repeal of net neutrality, internet service providers can, and they've already sued over it. Remember, they've already filed a lawsuit against the original net neutrality votes, against the original net neutrality. They already sued that they couldn't place charges on other companies to deliver content to their own customers. The biggest example of this was with AT&T. The zero rating practice. AT&T had its own video app, which, outside of it, AT&T users, if they used this video app, it would not utilize their data caps. It would not add to their data caps. I remember this. I was an AT&T customer at this time. However, there were certain videos that were only available through this video app that were very necessary for other people. Like, for example, there was one regarding the type of car I drive. And AT&T made sure it collected all them videos and conglomerated them. And lo and fucking behold, how the hell are you supposed to know how to fix a 95 Buick Century with a, replace the belts on the 95 Buick Century when the whole fucking engine's all torn to shit? Or God forbid, if, you wanted to replace your bumper on your fucking 2003 fucking, 2003 Jeep Cherokee. That's essentially what they did. I'm just giving random cars and models here. I think what ISPs charge us is for the connection. They charge us to connect us to the internet. But what net neutrality prevented was them charging internet-based companies themselves, like Netflix or Google. It prevented them from. The internet service providers, from charging those companies reaching us. That is the biggest point in net neutrality. Let's see if fucking Fox 10 Phoenix actually got their stream back together, shall we? Did they already conduct a vote? I hope not.
In favor of internet freedom. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Rosenworcel.
Okay.
Thank God it's kind of back up.
Net neutrality is internet freedom. I support that freedom. I dissent from this rash decision to roll back net neutrality rules.
God damn it, Fox 10 Phoenix, you motherfuckers. I will find this fucking hearing and... Alright, let's move past net neutrality for a bit. I've been chatting about it for a half hour now. Let's move past it. Let's go to the next headache on my list. Israel. Yay. Oh, by the way, happy third day, second day of Hanukkah. It's the second day of Hanukkah, third night. So get your Hagla Nevadas on and all that jazz. You know, Hagla Nevada. Anyway, Israel closes Gaza border crossings. The Israeli military said it will close border crossings into Gaza beginning Thursday until further notice due to the security events in accordance with security assessments. The crossings being closed, Karim Shalom and Erez, are the only two on the Israeli border left. Karim Shalom is the crossing point where goods and supplies are brought into Gaza. Erez is the point where people cross. Shutting the 2 points effectively cuts off Gaza from the rest of the world by land, save for its small Egyptian border, which is generally closed. Gaza is also under naval blockade by the Israeli Navy. The situation in the region has become increasingly heated since U.S. President Donald Trump announced last week that the United States recognizes Jerusalem as the capital of Israel and will eventually move its embassy to the Holy City. By the way, congratulations, Jews won the Holy War. Jerusalem's status is a fraught issue that many leaders have avoided. The United Nations partition plan, drawn up in 1947, envisioned the city neither as part of an Arab nor Jewish state, but instead run separately under an international regime, which I still think would have been fucking brilliant. Trump's move drew the ire of leaders from across the world, many of whom are concerned it could be the final nail in the coffin of the two-state solution and could provide recruiting fodder to radicals. You fucking think? We shall not accept any role for the United States in the peace process. Palestinian... Whoa, okay. What the fuck? Let's listen to Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. There we fucking go. We shall not accept any role for the United States in the peace process. They've proven their full bias in favor of Israel. You stupid motherfucker. How the hell... Okay, first of all, our shit that passes through Congress, our acts and all that fucking happy horse pucky, where the fuck is that 1995 thing? I know, Ice, you're listening. If you... Oh, fuck, I think it's in my fucking messages from you. Where the fuck is that bullshit? There it is. Jerusalem Embassy Act of 1995. Okay, Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. So since 1995, you've known that this was going to be a U.S. policy and that we were going to do this. 1995. 22 fucking years ago. 22 years. Almost as long as I've been alive. 22 fucking years. And you sit there and, well, we shall not accept any role from the United States in the peace process. Allahu Akbar. They've proven their full bias in favor of it. Bitch, the solution is simple. But it's fuckheads like you that prevent any peace in that region from actually being attainable. Jesus. We shall not accept any role. You sound like a goddamn fucking middle school, fucking elementary school. Jenny fucking hit me. Well, I can't have any girls on my team now. You fucking twat waffle. This is why we can't have nice things in the Middle East. This is why if I ever go to the Middle East, I'm gonna be fucking more locked and loaded than any motherfucking army unit there, because I'll just be going on a goddamn rampage that the United Nations have to bring down a goddamn motherfucking binding sanction on my ass. Because y'all are just fucking retarded. I get it. It's cultures based on grudges. I get it. You have tribal feuds. I get it. It's not the most fucking fun place in the world to live because it's fucking 1 billion degrees all the fucking time. But, for fuck's sake, the United States is a pretty damn good country when it comes to impartiality and fairness. And, for even furthermore, you've been known about this for 22 fucking years. But let's continue the article before KJ gets triggered anymore and my headache continues. Literally, my headache. Deadly protests broke out in Gaza, the West Bank, and Jerusalem following Trump's announcement. There has also been an increase in the number of rockets fired from Gaza towards Israel. Oh, I wonder why they shut down all the fucking border crossings and all that shit. In the latest incident on Wednesday evening, the Israeli Defense Forces said Israel's aerial defenses had intercepted 2 rockets. A third landed in open territory. In response, the army said it had targeted what it described as 3 military facilities in Gaza used as training and weapon storage sites by Hamas, the Palestinian Islamist group that controls Gaza, which the U.S. and European Union consider a terrorist organization. In response to earlier rocket fire, the IDF said Saturday it carried out airstrikes targeting weapons and military facilities that belong to Hamas. 2 Palestinian were men. Wow, CNN, get your fucking grammar correct. 2 Palestinians were men killed in the strikes. The Palestinian Health Ministry spokesman Ashraf Al-Qadra told CNN. The IDF said Sunday it destroyed an incomplete tunnel running for more than a kilometer from Gaza into southern Israel. There we go, got another entry point out of there. I'm just good. Fuck it, Israel. You have my blessing. As a New York Jew, you have my fucking blessing. Bomb Gaza back to the Stone Age. Fuck it. Bomb Palestine. Do a war of aggression. Fucking, I don't care, because this is just fucking ridiculous. I'm sorry, this is ridiculous. The common sense thing would have been, you know what? Let's both occupy Israel. Not Israel. Let's both occupy Jerusalem. Let's just cut the city in half, and we'll move on from there. And that way, we get our half. You got your half. We allow free movement through the city. We have, the usual, oh hey, welcome to Palestine. Let me check your passport. Okay, cool, you're good. But other than that, no. Apparently, you can't have the common sense solution. Apparently, you can't have any actual factual fucking solution other than we still not accept any role in the United States in the peace process. Okay, so it's war? You want to wage war? We'll wage war. We'll have fun. Seriously, you're dealing with a military that draws dicks on each other for laughs. And then we fucking go onto Live Leak because we have, free internet until today. We have fucking free internet to go on Live Leak and watch motherfucking ISIS and Hamas motherfuckers get their heads blasted. And then we giggle and say, that's a mighty fine fucking headshot with that GBU. I mean, for fuck's sake. Let's see what's going on in the comment section real quick. So what you're saying is Company A charges these fees, but Company B doesn't, gets the business over Company A. Company A has to change its practice or go out of business. Okay. Apparently we're hardcore stuck on net neutrality. Unfortunately, Company A is an entirely different industry than Company B. And Company B is entirely dependent on Company A. That's the issue here. And Company B is not just Netflix. It's not just Google. It's not just these big multi-million or billion-dollar conglomerations. Company B is Freedom Jerky. Company B is Black Rifle Coffee or Article 15 clothing. Company B is what used to be my company, Kaz Clan Productions. Company B is the companies that can't afford to pay these tolls that we've never had to pay in the existence of the internet. Ever. In order to reach our customers. That is the biggest problem. Oy vey. I hate this fucking net neutrality bullshit. Moving past. Continue on with Israel. Honestly, just bomb them all. Just go on a war of offensive. Claim Palestine as your own. Because right now, apparently, we can't fucking be big kids. And we can't share a sandbox. So, fuck us, right? So, Israel, you got this New York Jews blessing of bomb the fuck out of them and just end it. I'm so tired of hearing about fucking Hamas and fucking Hezbollah and just fuck it. Let's go. Carpet bomb Walmarts and fucking tax breaks to anyone who moves out there. Because it's now just getting fucking ridiculous. Okay. What do we got? Oh, ISIS. Yay, ISIS. Woo, ISIS. The majority... okay. Report details where ISIS gets its weapons. Oh, I don't know. Let's take a poll here. Where do you think ISIS gets their weapons? Let's hear it out. Okay. The majority of weapons used by ISIS since 2014 originated in, and here's a fucking shocker, the weapons originated in China, Russia, and Eastern Europe, according to a new report from a Belgian research group that studied the issue. Okay. AK-47s, Type 56s, SA-58s. I mean, those are, you know, the AK pretty much was a communist weapon back in the 60s, 70s, 80s, you know, for 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, you know, you'd expect it, you know, when this weapon made its way over from the Middle East. A lot of these weapons would be made in those countries. Ugh, quality fucking reporting there. Conflict armament research. Oh, they use AKs. I wonder where they got the AKs from. Well, you know what? You know, we can't rule out Kalashnikov USA. They might have gotten their AKs from Kalashnikov USA. You're right. We should actually investigate. Yeah, that's a great idea. Way to fucking go, Belgium. This Belgian research group. Way to fucking go, spending those fucking those research funds on figuring out where AKs come from. I'm so proud of you. I mean, for fuck's sake. Do these people not remember the Cold War? At all? It's like, oh, I wonder what they're doing on the other side of the Berlin Wall. I don't know. Hey, have you heard of this new gun, the AK-47? Oh, yeah, that sounds pretty badass. There had to be some people in Europe saying the same thing. Okay, let's continue. They analyzed more, team of field, conflict armament research deployed a team of field investigators across ISIS frontline positions. There's another problem. They deployed a team of field investigators across ISIS frontline positions in both Iraq and Syria between July 14 and November 17 and analyzed more than 40,000 items recovered from ISIS forces. I get it that you're researchers, but, you know, they're kind of hell-bent on killing Western civilization, and Belgium's a Western country, and couldn't you have maybe done a bit of a global civic duty to, I am sitting here at such and such a place. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. Come on, British SAS, German GSG-9, you know, SEAL Team 6, fucking whatever. Come on, guys, let's go. Hint, hint, I'm here. ISIS is here. Yo. I mean, for fuck's sake. They deployed with local forces fighting ISIS. Mainly, oh, okay, that's why. See, that's what I get for not reading the fucking article fully and having a hangover. Mainly Iraqi government forces in Iraq and Kurdish forces in northern Syria, and studied everything recovered or left behind by ISIS in liberated areas. Well, I just made a jackass of myself. Feel free to laugh with me, not at me. The items recovered encompass everything from weapons, ammunition, as well as chemical components procured by the terror group to manufacture IEDs to be used on the battlefield. Now that's the other headache and heart attack. You know, and of course I jumped the gun on that one and I apologize. But when you have an organization like this and you want to conflict armament research, which sounds like they deal with researching conflicts. Actually, let's Google search them. You know, Google search them on my free internet. Conflictarm.com. Badass fucking website name. Hell yeah, bro. In-depth weapon analysis from small arms to major conventional systems. Fuck yeah, let's go to your About Us. You sound fucking cool. Fucking bunch of dudes playing around with guns. Oh yeah, they investigate everything from, you know, caliber size of weapons and what type of bullets are being used, and hell yeah. And they're in multiple countries, from Iraq, Syria, Somalia, India. They're in fucking India? Sudan. Fucking Venezuela. Yeah, that must be fun. See their methodology. What do they do? Come on, load. Comcast, stop throttling my internet. The fucking net neutrality hasn't fucking been denied yet. Let's go. Fuck you, Comcast. But that's the thing. You have an organization here that is researching this, and providing critical data for whomever they believe needs it, and keeping track of weapons and keeping track of who produces what and how much and etc. is some pretty hot intel. And I'm surprised that these findings, because I'm trying to find anything about them, any of their findings, any of their reports, because they actually go out in the field and they literally get hands-on with whatever they need to get hands-on with, and they're right there. Like, there's a bunch of pictures of them actually right there with fucking 82s and fucking tanks and etc. I'm trying to find any reports of their findings, so I'm surprised the U.S. hasn't tried to be like, hey, what's going on? Tell me what I'm going up against in XYZ. I mean, I get it, we have our own intelligence agencies, but free reports are free reports, and these guys are supposedly doing it for research purposes, so it should be published somewhere. But yeah, China, who knew? China makes AKs, or in Russia, in Eastern Europe. Who fucking knew, right? Let's see if there's anything new about net neutrality. Nothing new yet. Okay. Alright, so we jump from China making AKs and ISIS getting their hands on them because, who the fuck else would use them? To China says war must not be allowed on Korean Peninsula. Beijing, and this is from Reuters. War must not be allowed to break out on the Korean Peninsula, and the issue must be resolved through talks, Chinese President Xi Jinping said on Thursday, while UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres warned of the dangers of sleepwalking into conflict. Xi made his comments to visit South Korean President Moon Jae-in just days after U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson offered to begin direct talks with North Korea without preconditions. But the White House said on Wednesday that no negotiations could be held until North Korea improved its behavior. The White House has declined to say whether President Donald Trump, who has taken a tougher rhetorical line towards North Korea, approved Tillerson's overture. Russian President Vladimir Putin said Tillerson's offer of direct contact with North Korea was a very good signal, while warning that a U.S. strike on the North would have had catastrophic consequences. North Korea tested its most advanced intercontinental ballistic missile on my birthday, November 29th, which it said could put all of the United States within range in defiance of international pressure and UN sanctions. The United States had said all options are on the table in dealing with North Korea, including military action. While South Korea and China share the goal of getting North Korea to give up its nuclear weapons and stop testing increasingly sophisticated long-range missiles, the two have not yet seen eye to eye on how to achieve this. Meeting in Beijing's Great Hall of the People, Xi told Moon that the goal of denuclearizing the Korean Peninsula must be stuck to, and war and chaos cannot be allowed, Chinese state media said. The peninsula issue must, in the end, be resolved via dialogue and consultation, Xi was cited saying. I spoke about it a few weeks ago. Oh, you want me to sound Mexican, eh, Joe? Alright, Desi. I spoke about... fucking, that's like Minnesota. Oh, yeah, I spoke about it a few weeks ago, don't you know? Sitting there while I was eating my moon pies. Just sitting there and talking about how China's all about the denuclearization sort of thing. And sort of, kind of something that I'm fucking talking Minnesotan. I'm thrilled that China is getting more involved with North Korea and it wants talks. I agree with that. There's always room for diplomacy, except when, as you just heard with me and my thoughts about Israel. There's always room for diplomacy. But North Korea has proven it will not be diplomatic. It does not want to bring itself up to the world stage and be an adult about things. It wants to still act like a child. And unfortunately, one of the best ways to discipline a rowdy child is a spanking. I mean, don't get me, I got spanked a shit ton as a kid. Metric shit ton. I'm still a rowdy child. Hence drinking Foster beers the night before I do a show, and now I have a massive hangover. So, of course, my jackass self knows the benefits of a good spanking. North Korea doesn't, and it hasn't since the 50s, because North Korea has been able to live in the shadow of its big brother China throughout the 60s, 70s, and 80s. And then in the beginning of the 90s and the 2000s, China started to back away, and now North Korea's all alone, and they still think they're the baddest bitch on the block, but they're not. And they're going to have to learn that very quickly. I am exaltedly thrilled that Rex Tillerson wants to open dialogue, but once again, with no preconditions, that creates an issue. And I've talked about Rex Tillerson before. I don't think he's a good Secretary of State because he does not have the cojones. He wants to fucking run things business-like. And unfortunately, the U.S. is not a business. We are a country. Now, furthermore, continuing the article from Reuters, China and South Korea have an important shared interest in maintaining peace, and China is willing to work with South Korea to promote talks and support North and South to improve relations, Xi said. South Korean Yonhap news agency said Xi and Moon agreed war on the peninsula would not be tolerated, and they would cooperate in applying sanctions and pressure on North Korea. That's a little concerning, because South Korea is an ally of ours. China is not a direct ally of ours. And if North Korea launches that first shot, then it's up to our forces and the South Koreans to respond appropriately. But what happens if war is inevitable? Will South Korea still maintain that stance of, we're not going to tolerate a war? Continuing on the article, the apparently warm tone of their talks followed nearly a year of tense relations between the two countries. Once again, China's realizing it wants to play at the big kid's table. It has to make big kid decisions, and lo and behold, denuclearization is a very adult decision to make. Dramatic circumstances. China has been furious about this deployment of the U.S.-made Terminal High Altitude Area Defense anti-missile system in South Korea, saying its powerful radar could see far into China and will do nothing to ease tension with North Korea. You fucking think? China and South Korea agreed in October to normalize exchanges and move past the dispute, which froze trade and business exchanges. Xi reiterated China's position on that and said he hoped South Korea would continue to appropriately handle the issue. Guterres, speaking to reporters in Tokyo after meeting Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe, said Security Council resolutions on North Korea's nuclear and missile programs must be fully implemented by Pyongyang and other countries. Security Council resolutions must be fully implemented, first of all, by North Korea, but by all other countries whose role is crucial. China. He said he was expecting a meeting of the UN Security Council on Friday and would deliver a strong expression of unity and the need for diplomacy to resolve the issue. The worst possible thing that could happen is for all of us to sleepwalk into a war. Japan says now is the time to keep pressure on North Korea and not start talks on its missiles and nuclear programs. China and Russia, however, have welcomed Tillerson's overture. Russian President Vladimir Putin said a U.S. strike on North Korea by the United States would have catastrophic consequences, and he hoped to work with Washington eventually to resolve the crisis on the Korean Peninsula. Russia does not accept North Korea's nuclear status, Putin told a news conference, but he also said some U.S. actions have provoked North Korea. We believe the two sides should now stop aggravating the situation, President Putin said. North Korea justifies its weapon programs as necessary defense against U.S. plans to invade. The United States, which has 28,500 troops in South Korea, a legacy of the 1950-1953 Korean War, which is still ongoing today, so it should be 1950 to 2017 Korean War, denies any such intentions. The North State news agency KCNA said Trump was taking a big step towards nuclear war and seeking a naval blockade, and North Korea would take merciless self-defense measures if the United States tried to impose one. North Korea would regard a naval blockade as an act of war, you fucking think, and a wanton violation of its sovereignty and dignity, and the agency cited a foreign ministry spokesman as saying, adding that North Korea was a responsible nuclear power. Yeah, responsible nuclear powers do not just launch fucking test missiles without notifying, maybe the hundreds of airlines that are flying through that airspace that your missile's going through, and one of them sees and goes, oh, that's a fucking nuclear missile. Holy shit. A responsible nuclear power does not sit there and decide one day, well, man, it's just this whole Korean thing's kind of bothering me, and, people are talking ill, and people are threatening to blockade us and prevent us from getting our supplies. And maybe we should continue our nuclear testing that is unsanctioned and without warning. Responsible nuclear powers like the United States, Russia, China, India, they kind of give a little forewarning when they go to do something that could potentially crack the earth in half. Just a hey, heads up, we're gonna test a nuke here. I mean, we didn't do so in the 40s because we couldn't. But nowadays it's, hey, we're testing a nuke, and it may not be as blatant as, oh, hey, here's a press release, here's a quick email to Putin, I'm testing a nuclear device, wanted to give you a heads up, XOXO, lots of love, President Trump. But more of a, you start seeing more manpower, you start seeing more things happening. It's like, okay, they're getting ready to test a nuke. We start broadcasting our decisions. North Korea's just like, fuck it! Launch that shit! And then a plane sees it off its fucking starboard side. It's like, oh, hey, that's a nuclear missile. Way to fucking go, North Korea. You're a fucking twat. This is going to end up a Japan situation all over again. I don't know, Nathan. I don't know. Continuing on, White House National Security Advisor H.R. McMaster, hell of a guy, by the way, said in September that even military options short of a preventative strike, such as a naval blockade meant to enforce sanctions, carried risk of military escalation. As someone that has wined and dined with General McMaster, and it wasn't anything big or crazy, it just happened. But as someone who's wined and dined with General McMaster, I get it. You have to say something as simple as humanly possible, and you're a national security advisor. But, bruh, we know. Preventive strike, naval blockade, military escalation, and South Korea not allowing a military option means more than likely that they won't start a military option. I'm all for China and South Korea and the U.S. and Russia all sitting there going, hey, North Korea, get your shit together, with all of our fucking tanks and rockets and ships and infantry sitting there going, get your shit together. That's a real hard, oh shit. There ain't no way, no possible way, if those four countries all decide, you know what, fuck this, and we just lined up across both borders, South Korean border and the Russian-Chinese border, all three borders, Russia, Chinese, and North Korea border. And I would say, stop it. North Korea is going to, Kim Jong mentally ill Un is going to sit there and go, what? He's going to have a pants-shitting moment, similar to what happened in the interview. Fuck it. I should take a break, but fuck that. It wasn't a pilot could tell between, I see your comment, Spencer, if a pilot can tell between nuclear and non-nuclear, it was that there was a missile that the pilot and the plane and the passengers saw. Like, they physically saw the missile. They're like, oh, that's a missile. And then they realized, we're near North Korea. I hope China and South Korea and the United States and Russia, we can actually come together and do something about the fucking pissant that is fucking North Korea. And now let's see if net neutrality has been passed or denied. Nothing yet. Thank you, Pookie. Hot damn. 6 minutes ago, SEC net neutrality vote halted due to security concerns. Just now, as SEC Chairman Ajit Pai was in the middle of giving his comment on the net neutrality proposal, someone handed him a note. He quickly said that on advice of security, the commission needed to take a break. The feed was then cut off. Politico had a feed of the evacuated room up. Law enforcement and bomb-sniffing dogs are searching the room. We'll update this post as they receive more information. Well, that's one way to forestall the end of net neutrality. Oh, man. All right, whoever did that, first of all, you're a fucking idiot. Way to go. I'm so proud of you. You're going to get caught, and you're going to go to jail. Hopefully there isn't a bomb, and I hope this is just a hoax, and no one was in any danger. And if it was, you're a fucking idiot. And you deserve every fucking punishment that's going to get thrown at you because you're a fucking cunt. Ugh. Okay. Who wants to have a laugh? You guys want to see a fucking, you know, a rapey motherfucker? Coming straight out of fucking, coming from, oh my God. Ohio, WKBN, Channel 27. So, Ohio man accused of offering Sprite and chicken Alfredo for sex with a minor. Let's get some eyes on this motherfucker. Austin Township, Ohio. A 22-year-old Youngstown State student, woohoo, way to go, you look like a Youngstown State student, is accused of offering Sprite and chicken Alfredo in hopes of having sex with a 15-year-old boy. Albert Marana, the fourth. Yeah. There's definitely 4 Albert Maranas inside of you, brother. Was arrested by police Tuesday when he arrived at an arranged meeting place in Austintown. Police were waiting because an undercover Austintown officer had been pretending to be a teen boy. When police arrested Maruna, he had with him an iPhone, a MacBook, 3 zip drives, a bottle of lubrication, Vaseline lotion, 2 bottles of Sprite, and chicken Alfredo in a Tupperware container. The undercover... I mean, for fuck's sake, you can't... That's a hell of a way. Hey, man, you should let me come over, rub your shoulders. I'll bring you some Sprite and chicken Alfredo. That's what the kids like these days. Chicken Alfredo and Sprite. Although the officer claimed to be 15, Maruna responded with, "Age is a number, I believe. I don't believe in age. I'm okay if you sick. Okay with me." Maruna is accused of sending explicit message and several nude pictures of himself. Police reportedly found other graphic conversations and nude photos on his phone from other people who are trying to determine their age, WFMJ reports. Police says that he told investigators that he did not believe having sex with a 15-year-old is wrong, and he's charged with attempted unlawful sexual contact with a minor, disseminating minor harmful to juveniles, and possessing criminal tools, and importuning. So, between hopefully this is just a bomb scare asshole, we have 2 potential assholes of the week. Congratulations, Albert Maruna IV. You are a fucking cunt. Jesus Christ, that fucking face, dude. That guy ate one too many moon pies, don't you know? Peter Griffin as a kid. Fuck yeah. That dude, I mean, all right, I'm bringing this picture back up. Fuck it. I mean, we're going to have a mini roast section. That is the face of pure fuck. Like, I'm not sure if you're familiar with if anyone's familiar with Youngstown, Ohio, but it's a fucking, there are parts of it that just make me cringe. I used to live over there for a while, and there are parts of Youngstown, Ohio that's just like, I wouldn't go near, because people like this with this vacant stare of, I didn't do nothing. I didn't do nothing. This motherfucker, I mean, he did not believe having sex with a 15-year-old is wrong. Age is a number, I believe. I don't know. Is age a number? I think it is. I mean, there's 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 15. Dumbass. It ain't that fucking hard to fucking be successful in the U.S. Pay your taxes, follow the laws. Chris, if you say taxation is theft, I'm going to fucking throw something at you. Pay your taxes, follow the laws, be a good person. That's all you got to do. Pay your taxes, follow the laws, be a good person. And this motherfucker literally, well, I don't know if he paid his taxes, but he failed to be a good person, which means he broke the laws. And, dude, it looks like if you... I hope you brought that chicken Alfredo for yourself, you fucking tubby motherfucker. Goddamn. I hope the kid's like, oh, man, Sprite. And you're like, oh, man, chicken Alfredo, a dick. He's going to prison and get his corn hucks. Fuck yeah. I just imagine being like this and breathing heavy all the time. Oy vey. Oh, Jesus. I'm not drunk enough for this. Yay! Update to the security concerns issue for the net neutrality. After just a few minutes, the commissioners and audience members returned to the room. The security concerns seemingly revolved. Let's see what's going on there. And we have Ajit Pai Lead fuckboy in charge of the FCC, giving his statements as we speak. Nope, this is not that. This is them evacuating. Come on. Why'd you advertise that as the current, them getting back in and talking and getting everything up and running? You fuckers. Fake news, NBC. Fake news. God damn it. Got all excited. Okay. I really hope this net neutrality thing doesn't go through, man. I don't want to see the fucking radio show get fucking killed because we can't reach you guys for Comcast being a cunt. Moving forward. Vest stop bullets when officer shot in North St. Louis County. 2 police officers were shot in the chest, but saved by their bulletproof vests by a gunman who had barricaded himself in a home in North St. Louis County, the mayor of Bellefontaine Neighbors has told the Post-Dispatch. A witness said a man opened fire on the officers from about 15 feet after they pepper sprayed him in a scuffle on a front lawn. After the shooting, he ran away and entered a home near Bellefontaine Road and Creek Drive. An officer in need of aid call rallied dozens of officers from neighboring agencies who descended on the area of Chambers Roads and Bellefontaine Road at about 7:30 a.m. today, St. Louis County Police Officer Benjamin Grada said. The county's tactical operations unit was called to the scene to help Bellefontaine neighbors. Over a loudspeaker, an officer was addressing the man by name at about 9:30 a.m. and announcing the police have him surrounded. You need to come out. Jason, you need to come out, the officer said. We know you're in there. I can help you out. You know, I would just hate to be on the receiving end of that any day. Just like sitting there, it's like, hey, KJ, it's okay. It's okay. Just, I can help you out. Come on out. You don't need to get triggered anymore. Yeah. The officer asked the barricade man to make a movement to let the police know he's in there, such as moving the blinds in a back window. Bellefontaine Neighbors Mayor Bob Doer identified the injured officers as a male sergeant with 15 years experience and a female patrol officer. City records show she was hired in 2014. Granda said both officers were taken to a hospital. Their conditions were unavailable, but the mayor sounded optimistic. I mean, if the vest stopped the bullets, you know, I have a feeling that their conditions are good with just some minor bruising. They're both. He said both officers were conscious and talking at the scene. They were both struck by at least one bullet. He said, "This crazy guy is barricaded in the house." Doer said. The mayor is still trying to get updates from the police, of which we have an update. Scrolling to it, if Comcast will stop throttling my internet because of net neutrality. The current update is a SWAT team is on scene. And so far, they have not done anything as of now to get into it, to get the guy out of the building. So as this updates as well with FCC, I will be continuing reporting that until the end of the show. Okay. Thank you, Comcast, for throttling my internet. You're doing so well proving the FCC being cunts. Let's see if we can get the vote back in place. FCC's website. Okay, let's see if the FCC is... Okay, it's currently down. It's still down. Let's head over to the comment section. Fat Jonah Hill wannabe. Y'all are some motherfucking savages. Alright, so let's open up this second hour. Let's get your phone calls. What I want y'all to do is I want you to call the show now.
Call the show now at 415-889-8367.
415-889-8367. Call the show now, and I want to get your opinions about net neutrality. I want to hear you guys regarding Israel closing down the border wall, its borders with Gaza, and China and South Korea talking about how they don't really want an issue in the Korean Peninsula. So feel free, call the show now. Lines are open. Love to hear from you. Love to create that dialogue. And if you want to talk about net neutrality, feel free. We can talk about net neutrality. I'm all for it. Because, yeah, I'm twitching in my office chair right now. Interesting little article for going back to bring this full circle to net neutrality again. What public libraries will lose without net neutrality? There's an op-ed published by the heads of the New York Public Library, the Brooklyn Library, and the Queens Library Systems. And we're going to actually read the op-ed right now. Since their inception, public libraries have fought to ensure that all people have access to knowledge, education, and opportunity. That noble mission hasn't changed, even as technology has. In addition to books and other materials, public libraries in every community in our great country are providing access to the computer and the internet, technology training classes, tablets, laptops, and more, offering everyone the tools they need to improve their lives, strengthen their communities, and succeed. Libraries are at the foundation of the American dream. The recent proposal by the SEC to abandon current net neutrality rules stands in direct opposition to this vital work. The proposal essentially gives broadband providers financial incentive to govern the openness of the internet, paving the way for models in which consumers pay for priority access and those who can't pay are limited to a slow lane. Without the current protections, the already yawning digital divide will be widened. In New York City, millions of families cannot afford broadband access at home. These families are in our branches, borrowing Wi-Fi hotspots, or using our public computers to do homework, pay bills, apply for jobs, or communicate with relatives. For these New Yorkers, the 216 library branches across the city are their only option for access to technology. For the SEC to place internet access, something that in today's world is a necessity, not a luxury, even further out of reach, is appalling. And I have to agree with that, because if you look at the major metropolitan areas, if you look at New York City, Los Angeles, Nashville, Tampa, Miami, Washington, D.C., hundreds of thousands upon millions of people congregate and live in these areas. And it ain't cheap. I mean, it's cheap in Nashville because we're growing. But it ain't cheap living in a major met. So when you live in a major met and you got to choose whether or not you're going to pay your electric or you're going to pay your fucking internet bill, I'll pay my electric every time. So let's continue with the op-ed. As strong advocates for and guardians of the right for people to seek and receive information from all points of view without restriction, New York City libraries could not possibly support such a measure. For us, though, it's more than just principle. We, too, would potentially need to pay broadband providers extra so our content can be delivered on the same terms as a commercial content providers. This is that's directly talking about how Google, how Verizon, AT&T, et cetera, ISPs will be able to charge not only the users but also the other companies the reverse access to get to us. For public libraries, most of which are government agencies or nonprofits, this could be a serious burden as we deliver large amounts of videos to our patrons and have users remotely accessing collections at home, and we offer hundreds of expensive databases to the public for free. As libraries will increasingly collect digital assets, these costs will increase. In other words, this proposal directly impacts the public's ability to access library collections and materials, the very tools that have helped even the playing field for so many in this country for centuries. To see who will be affected, simply walk into any New York City library branch. Walk into any library. Look at the students who literally cannot do their homework without our computers. See the parents and caregivers who are learning English and applying for jobs online to improve their circumstances. See the higher education students, independent researchers, and scholars who need our databases and online collections to further scholarship. Imagine how frustrated and how demoralized these individuals can be when they no longer can access what they need. I mean, first you want to hit me in my pocketbook, and that fucking hurts. But then you want to hit the disenfranchised. Then you want to hit the people that need an open and free internet. I mean, let's be honest here. KJ is a full-time student. KJ, I'll be honest here. I'm a full-time student, and previously, when I was a law student, the ability to go over to not only Vanderbilt University and access their law library, but to access Westlaw, to access LexisNexis, which are both legal tools, and the massive amount of codes and statutes, and Bandit, stop eating your ass, which is my dog, sorry about that. The massive amount of resources that needed to be available, I was able to access them from home. I was able to access them from my satellite school. I was able to get access and be successful in my studies. And unfortunately, and even further, when it came to my own business that I had, I was able to research and communicate with potential investors. I was able to research and develop proper business strategies and marketing strategies and schemes. And that all came from going to libraries and researching what worked, especially in the industry which I was at, which is very relatively new commercially, which is airsofting. It's only been around for 30 years comparatively to, book manufacturing or fucking weapons manufacturing, whatever. So net neutrality is crucial in that sense for free information. Imagine how this would affect on a government level too. Now, we all know that our fucking laptops and computers in the fucking army aren't exactly the greatest fucking things in the world. But still, if we need to look something up on Google, we can. What is going to happen with those contracts if net neutrality gets repealed and the ISPs are able to charge Google, are able to charge YouTube, or well, that's Google still, able to charge Google, or able to charge whomever they need to access to reach us? Well, prices in the DoD community are going to go up. Those contracts are going to cost more. It can be a nightmare. Meanwhile, you just make this, a public utility. You treat it like electric or water. You put a little bit of oversight in it, and you just say, okay, just make sure prices aren't going insane. Make sure you don't charge creators of content to get their content to their viewers and to their fucking consumers. Oh, look, past 2 years, it's worked fucking fine. It's just one of those things that we have to be vigilant on. But let's continue with the op-ed. Critics of net neutrality are quick to point out that it could stifle innovation. Why, for example, would a cable company invest in having the highest speed data network if it could not reap the financial rewards of selling premium access to that higher speed data? I can see that point. These critics say the new proposal values private investment and innovation over government intervention. They're weak arguments, because far more technology companies are financially incentivized to spur innovation around high-speed internet than just the telecom and cable companies who own the infrastructure. The consumer demand to deliver uninterrupted streaming of the hottest new Netflix show or multiplayer access to the latest PlayStation game will keep internet speeds humming with or without net neutrality. You take away net neutrality, and what you're doing is you're taking away the consumer's protection and the creator's protection. And you're allowing this small section of this giant global internet community, which is the internet service providers, you're allowing them to say, no, you don't get to get there. You don't get that. Nothing has stopped the internet from fucking... Oh, fucking shit. Thank you, Chris. Net neutrality repealed 3-2. Let's get the actual fucking report. Net neutrality vote. Thank you, Google. From the I'm trying to get the actual FCC up, but their fucking site's not working for me because fucking they just repealed it. Yep. FCC dismantles net neutrality in a 3-2 vote. New York Times reports the agency scrapped so-called net neutrality regulations that prohibited broadband providers from blocking websites or charging for higher quality service or certain content. The federal government will also no longer regulate high-speed internet delivery as if it were a utility like phone services. Well, there we go. I hope to see you in the future. We're not going to see an immediate change, and this is now we have to worry about the after effect. Folks, this is something that is not going to happen immediately. You're not going to see an overnight change. You're not. But in 10 years, you will. And this is something that needs to stay on our minds when we are asking, why can't I get to etc.? Why can't I do XYZ? Why can't I fill out this job application? Remember this. And remember this poor decision by the Federal Communications Committee. Federal Communications Commission. God damn it, I can't speak today. Remember that they pulled the regulations that prohibited the ISPs, the broadband providers, from blocking websites or charging for higher quality service or content or certain content. Remember that now you are going to have to pay extra for good internet, which is not in itself a bad thing, but you're also going to have to end up paying for what you want and need. Hopefully, porn doesn't get affected, which is my most used internet product other than video gaming. But, you know, I will get used to pixelated titties, and I will move on. And I hope that in 5 years or 10 years, I hope that this gets revisited soon, and that people say, you know, that was fucking retarded. But unfortunately, now we have lost all the protections that were afforded to us over the past 2 years, which allowed so many great things, including this radio station, to exist and thrive and prosper. So here we go, folks. Let's fucking see what happens. I'm just at a loss for words. I don't. Mr. Pai, the chairman, says they're helping consumers and promoting competition. But like I said before, where the fuck is the competition? I have Comcast and I have AT&T, and AT&T does not work really well here. So who the fuck do I go with? I have to go with Comcast. I'm stuck with Comcast because I can't trust AT&T to provide me a stable enough connection to put the show on. And now, helping consumers and promoting competition. No, you're not. You were a previous lawyer. You were one of the head lawyers for Verizon who became the chairman of the FCC. And no one sees a fucking conflict of interest there? No. This is on top of further significant and controversial action that Mr. Pai has done. He lifted media ownership rights, which is allows a single company to own a newspaper and a television and radio stations in the same town, which makes it to where it allows for competition in the news industry, which that there makes it another SEC ruling, which makes it to where Fox can own all of it, or CNN, or fucking Billy Bob Thornton can own all the fucking news and publish all the news and shows and radio shows regarding Billy Bob News Thorntons. Furthermore, he eased caps on how much broadband providers can charge business customers. So if you own a business, you know, you've already experienced the caps being rolled back, and you're going to have to pay a little bit more. And he cut back on low-income broadband programs that were supposed to be expanded nationwide carriers so that low-income families can get broadband internet and are able to use this tool, which is what it is in its base state, a tool that we need to function for day-to-day. New York Times continues to say it's unclear how much will change for internet users. The rules were essentially a protective measure largely meant to prevent telecom companies from favoring some sites over others. And major telecom companies that promised consumers that their experiences online would not change. But I'm sorry, I don't trust major telecom companies. I don't trust them not to go back to what they did in the late 90s, in the early 2000s, throughout all the 2000s of trying to throttle and trying to hold. Here's a fun real world thing for you when it comes to net neutrality. You want to hear a fuck game? Yeah. You want to hear a fuck game when it comes to Comcast? Comcast decided that at some point they were going to introduce experimental data caps. And I'm in one of those zones with an experimental data cap. So my data cap last year was at 300 gigabytes a month. 300 gigs. And could you imagine the outrage when I found out that first pop-up on my shitty-ass Lenovo tablet laptop? You are 95% of the way through your data cap. When I swear I paid for unlimited high-speed internet, and then they roll out this experimental. And there was no legal recourse. None, because it was experimental. No legal recourse for me because I paid for high-speed unlimited internet, and then I got hit with a data cap. And now I'm at a terabyte. I get 1,000 gigabytes. But I still pay for that unlimited high speed. But I have 1,000 terabytes. I get 1,000 gigabytes of data. That's the same company. Same thing with Verizon Fios, now known as Woodbridge or Woodland or something like that. I don't fucking know. But Verizon Fios and AT&T. I hope that in the coming years that you don't lose us and we don't lose you. But I swear to God, this is not good and fair for the internet. And you will lose a lot of content, and it may not be immediately because it's going to take some time for these companies to be able to run with this. But the harsh reality is there will be content that you once viewed that you won't be able to find anymore because they're behind a paywall. Fuck, man. Fuck. Just imagine how this is going to affect so many industries, from gaming to automated systems to the research and development of AI to just so many technological systems that are going to be impacted to a point where they could barely function. This is going to be disastrous in the years to come. Maybe if Google and Facebook did what they did last year and shut down the internet, maybe this wouldn't have passed. But you know what? Here we are. This has been passed, and now I don't know what's going to happen. God bless us all. Lo and behold, Comcast throttling. I just got the pop-up. You are now 95% of your terabyte. Fuck you, Comcast. Oh, that's the other fun part about the whole Comcast story. I get charged when I go over this experimental data cap. I get charged $50 for $10 for 50 gigs. So, oh, yeah. Here I go. It's already the 14th, and I'm already up to my 1,000 when I pay for unlimited. Fucking great, right? Welcome to what was a workaround of net neutrality that is going to become a very active thing. God damn it. God fucking damn it. You couldn't just fucking leave it alone. You couldn't fucking leave your buddies that fucking Verizon alone and take the FCC and be impartial. And that's the part, you know what? Fuck it. Here, you know what? Fuck the news. Fuck all that other bullshit. KJ's getting real. When you take a goddamn position in a goddamn public office, be it a fucking mayor of a city or the goddamn president of the United God, your boss. Even if it comes to being commissioner of the SEC. But instead, Mr. fucking Pie, you fucking cunt. Instead, you take your experiences that you felt as a lawyer for Verizon and go, well, this must change. Meanwhile, when millions of Americans are saying, don't, this is good, this helps us, it makes us function. Well, but it hurt Verizon. Businesses are not people. And now, as we heard today, as I talked about the public libraries, as I talked about how they can throttle and charge paywalls in both directions now. How personal experience, Comcast fucks me. But I have no one else to use because there's no way to have competition here. Because the competition cannot and will not provide the quality I need. And it's like that way in most of the country. Now, you have made a decision which is going to impact so many people. It's unfathomable how many people are going to be impacted by this. People are not going to be able to apply for jobs at their local libraries because local libraries are going to have to pay to have the internet access for all of those computers, some of which have hundreds, some of which have even up to 1,000, and they have to pay to make sure that all of them have stable enough connections. Of which, even further, job boards like Monster and Indeed might have to pay to reach the public libraries, to reach those IP addresses. All because you couldn't think of what was in the public's best interest. Not a company, not a private company, but the public. You chose to ignore the public. You chose to ignore the constituency which decides whether or not you work for us. You motherfucker. You wonder why someone called it a fucking bomb threat. You wonder why people sit there and get pissed off over this. This is going to be devastating in the future. Not the near future. Remember, everything takes time. But in the future, people are going to be asking what happened. And I'm going to sit there and go back, you fucking let him in. I need to look up something before I say anything further. But is the chairman of the FCC an elected position? I don't believe it is. I believe it's appointed. Yeah. He was designated chairman by President Donald J. Trump. He previously served as commissioner of the SEC, appointed by then President Barack Obama, and confirmed unanimously by the United States Senate in 2012. Let's go to your fucking page. Wait a minute. 2012. So you were there when net neutrality originally got introduced to the FCC. I bet you even oppose now. I bet you even opposed then as you do now. I mean, you know what? This is going to look fucking weird. It's going to be like, what the fuck are you doing, KJ? But I'm going to fucking put up this guy's face on the fucking internet. This goofy looking motherfucker. Here we go. Fucking pulling some fucking magic. Here we go. Live on the fucking show. You're getting to see how KJ and shit fucking puts up pictures and shit. I know, it's a blank fucking screen. Bear with me for a second. Let's get this fucking face famous. Alright, fucking. It's taking too long. Save image. Fuck boy. Save picture. Fuck boy extreme. So I can find it faster. And let's get this fucking picture up here, shall we? This motherfucker. And I'm doing this all right out the fucking bat. Where is it? Where's fuckboy extreme? Apparently, I didn't save to my fucking desktop. This is some bullshit. There we go. This motherfucker, this asshole right here, Ajit Pai, was given control of the SEC by President Donald Trump. He's been a commissioner since 2012, and he was appointed by then President Obama. And here's his whole history. He's the commissioner of the SEC since 2012. He's appointed by President Obama, confirmed by the Senate. He did not share Obama's progressive views, and is by no means someone President Obama would have chosen to lead the commission. Rather, the tradition of letting the minority party pick 2 commissioners, since the majority can only legally hold 3 seats. In nominating Pai at the recommendation of Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, a Republican, Obama was sticking to that tradition. Shortly after Trump's election, indicating that a top priority under the new administration would be dismantling net neutrality, in a letter he wrote that to revisit the Title II net neutrality proceeding as soon as possible. And then he got it signed on January 23rd by the President of the United States that he was going to be the 34th chairman of the SEC. And we, as a people, who elected Donald Trump, allowed business to have more rights than we as people. We, as a people, by electing Donald Trump, has allowed the corporations to dictate federal policy. And you're goddamn right I'm triggered. I'm triggered because there's going to be some poor motherfucker in Chicago or Los Angeles or in Virginia who has no internet access and has to go to a library when he needs to get something done. And they might not be able to because in a year or two, when we actually start feeling what's happening, the effects of net neutrality getting repealed, when that person has to go to a library to apply for a fucking job, he might not have access to the Monster job boards or the Indeed job boards or fucking even Craigslist. You're going to have a student, a medical student, we'll go to extreme here, a medical student that might have a solution to cancer, a lasting cure, and he will not be able to get the documents he needs to research and to verify because that might be behind a paywall, or the public library or the school library can't afford to have the 300 over 150 upload download speed so that he can actually research and find what he needs to find. You're goddamn right I'm triggered. Millions of people are going to be affected. The internet should be, and should always be, treated as a public utility because we cannot exist without it. When the goddamn Department of fucking Defense, Department of Homeland Security, Department of the State Department, the fucking Department of Agriculture, the Department of Transportation, every fucking aspect of the government utilizes the internet. We had a whole fucking hissy fit about Hillary Clinton's email scandal, which revolves around the fucking internet. Everybody got into a fucking tizzy about Hillary Clinton's email. But the harsh reality is that we, now as we the people, through who we've elected and who he's appointed, we have lost something that is inherently good. Isn't that what the dude said that founded it? That's Mikey. I have no clue. What dude? I have no clue what you're talking about, Mikey. You're going to have to be a bit more specific. But we, the people, have allowed this. Now, of course, I am very independent when it comes to the president. He's done good, he's done bad. But right now, with his appointment of fuckboy Ajit Pai, we have lost the ability to have freedom on the internet. we have lost the ability for this show, for WTF Nation Radio. There's a very good possibility 2 years from now that wherever our server is, they're behind a paywall. Now there is a good possibility of that. Now there is a good possibility that in a year or two with Jose's Taco Truck, you may want to tune in at noon, but I'm sorry, I can't connect because I can't afford $150 a month for fucking whatever high-speed internet I need. That's the harsh reality. That's what pisses me off so much. I got blessed with this medium to present to you issues and explain my opinions and give it out to you and talk about it and get you on the air. And guess what? Net neutrality is repealed, and that fucking privilege, that fucking blessing that was bestowed upon me and all the other members of the WTF Nation Radio crew may have just went down the fucking drain because there are parts of this process that we do not have complete 100% control of. And guess what? Internet cost is one of them. Server access is another. And we very may well have lost it all. And then what happens? And then what happens? You know, fucking Natalie Portman in Star Wars said it best. This is how liberty dies, with thunderous applause. You know, you could have said that about either party getting fucking elected, Donald Trump or Hillary Clinton. This is how liberty dies, with thunderous applause. But this is one step. We have lost a very crucial and important part of free speech. Your First Amendment right was just directly attacked. And that's the other thing that pisses me off the most. Your First Amendment, my First Amendment, something that our brothers and sisters have died for, is now directly attacked because there is going to be things that you're going to want to say or you're going to want to see that is going to be locked behind a paywall. That is going to be locked because we can't afford to pay that. You are going to see prices rise, and you're going to see an increase of dissent. The internet's been around for how long? Let's get an accurate number here. I don't want to spout things. Internet was created when? The internet has been created when? When the internet? January 1st, 1983. So since 1983, that was the beginning of the internet. 34 years. Actually, we'll go even further. 32 years when net neutrality first came in. From 83 to 2015. 32 years. Nothing. Nothing. No issues, no problems. We let it be. We let it grow. We let it become this juggernaut of our lives, which is a good and bad thing in of itself. It has infiltrated almost every aspect of day-to-day life. And now, 35 years later, this critical portion of many, many, many people, we've just been told, sorry, you got to pay more. You're going to have to pay. And yeah, pay more is not the correct term. It's either pay, you're going to have to pay. And it'd be a pay less or pay more, but you're going to have to fucking pay. Someone's going to have to make up for the shortcoming. And even more insulting is that Ajit Pai just gave corporations, corporate fucking rations, preference over the people. Okay, enough with me fucking spouting the same bullshit. How do we fucking solve this? Well, the first thing is we get the fucking asshole out of there. But a solution? We stop. You want to hear the most extreme fucking solution? We just stop. We shut it down. We don't use it. Yeah. The entire country will suffer from, let's say, a singular day of no internet use. Every single person unplugs a router. Every single person. And the entire country, for one whole day, would lose billions. Imagine all those potential sales lost from Amazon. all that potential Facebook ad revenue, all that potential ad revenue from Google. Oh, and they're just at fault here too. Past 2 years, they've been vocal and they've been active. And when a goddamn pornography website is more vocal and fucking active about our own fucking freedoms and liberties than the #1 search engine and social media websites in the world, what the fuck? The guy that found the internet. Are you talking about Steve Wozniak, Mike? Correct. Internet functioned fine beforehand, Chris. You're right. Because there was none whatsoever government interference. What net neutrality did was made it to where corporations couldn't install these paywalls. And Mike Wozniak did not create the internet. I don't believe he did. I think it was a company called ARPANET. Advanced Research Project Agency Network, funded by the DoD. Robert Kahn and Vinton Cerf. And you're right. Net neutrality didn't exist in 2005. Internet functioned fine. It's because they didn't have a need to. But here's a harsh issue. Let's look up internet-related lawsuits prior to 2015, as you hear me furiously typing on my keyboard. Internet privacy lawsuits. Internet privacy lawsuits were getting filed left and right in courts, most of them seeking to become a class action case. The newspaper measured the trend by counting privacy lawsuits. So the lawsuits prior to 2015 were about companies collecting private data, like Google, Facebook, Apple. And even the United States Supreme Court. The Supreme Court. The governing agency. Oh, fuck you, fucking goddamn New York Times. You fucking cunt. 0 articles remaining this month. Fuck you, New York Times. 2016 net neutrality court case. Okay. The Supreme Court decided in 2016 that the internet is a public utility. That's going to be an interesting opportunity that's going to be missed here. Is can we, the people, file a complaint against the FCC in violation of the Supreme Court? This Supreme Court decision. Is it Supreme Court or was it appeals? Court net neutrality. Fuck you, Washington Post. Oh, god damn it, I've used up all my Washington Post articles too. Fuck you. Yeah, it was an appeals court. Even then, a federal appeals court. So a step below the Supreme Court. But they upheld the decision that the internet is a public utility. Hope you feel better, Doc. Hope everything's good with your appointments. The appeals court, the appellate court decided it was a utility. That's the harshest reality. When the telecom communication company sued, when the internet provider sued against the net neutrality, it was decided, sorry, no, this is not a private entity. And how can it be a private entity when it was created by the Department of Defense? A department our tax dollars, a public department our tax dollars pay for. How can something that was created with public funds be a private entity? It can't. It is a public utility, it is a public entity. It was created by the government and has been utilized by the world. It took on a more recognizable form in 1990 when computer scientist Tim Berners-Lee invented the World Wide Web, the WWW. But it was designed and funded publicly, and it is considered as of 2016 as a public utility. And I'm curious how this fucking ruling by that fuckboy affects that appellate ruling, which holds just as much precedent because it holds the precedent because that was the highest court it went to. It could get challenged in the Supreme Court, but if the Supreme Court upholds it, then it becomes law. The internet is a public utility. And then the ISPs have a whole new monster where they have to provide internet to all people. So there is some good that comes out of this. Okay, cool. They can do this great. Some entrepreneurial fucking lawyer decides this is fucking goes against that appellate case, and oh my god, here we go. It goes to the Supreme Court, and bada bing, bada boom, the Supreme Court says, yeah, it's a public utility. Especially if that fucking lawyer or that class action or whatever the fuck goes through it brings up that it was created by public funds. At the basis of this was all with public funds. That's more important than the goddamn fucking cake, the cake people not making the cake for the gay couple. The ability for people to fucking file their taxes. The ability for people to fucking file for jobs. The ability for students to become young professionals and functioning adults. The ability for information to freely be given and distributed. Can you imagine the Freedom of Information Act, how it's going to work now? Oh, I'm sorry, you don't have access to the fucking, you don't have access to xyz.gov because they haven't paid. That's what this means. God damn it. You fucking asshole. All of them. Except for the 2 fucking Democrats that fucking were there. And fuck you, President Trump, for fucking putting in this shit stain of an asshole. Yeah, I said it. My fucking opinion, not the show's, my opinion. You put in a fucking asshole that's going to make our lives fucking harder in the future. I ain't worried about the next 6 months. I'm worried about fucking 2 years from now and whether or not our fucking radio show will still be up and running with this fucking paywall bullshit. Fucking cunts. I'm worried about whether my fucking wife will be able to go to her fucking continuing education classes for her fucking profession, which majority of them are done online. I'm worried about my ability as a full-time fucking student going for my bachelor's degree. And how that's going to impact me. I'm worried about the fucking engineer that's going to have to look up structural plans, and at some point he won't be able to access certain ones that would probably be better than what he can see on the public domain because they're behind a fucking paywall. God damn it. I'm worried about how many people are going to flock to the deep web and how many people without knowing what the deep web or the dark web is going to fucking get Trojaned or fucking hacked and shit like that because it's a freer form of the internet. It's less than the surface websites. I'm worried about the fucking VPN companies taking advantage of this. I'm worried about the ISPs taking advantage of the VPNs. God damn it. Fuck you, Mr. President, for fucking putting in this motherfucker. And fuck you, Ajit Pai, for being a fucking cuck. And fuck the FCC. Here's hoping we have a show in 2 years. Let's get some fucking house cleaning done. December 16th, this Saturday, we got Bill Harris. He's a volunteer firefighter who chased down the terrorists in New York on October 31st, 2017. Suspects Sayfullo Saipov rented a truck from Home Depot that was used to mow down people in Lower Manhattan, killing 8. Bill will be on to talk about his experience and how it changed his life. On December 18th, on Monday, we have Dan Thurs from TacticalReviews.com. We're going to talk about all things tactical with Dan on the Monday edition. On 21st December, Thursday, we have Christopher Beatty from Semper Canine. He served 6 overseas deployments to include 4 combat deployments in the Middle East. And while deployed, he used the dogs to search for enemy bombs and other explosives. When he returned home, he faced bouts of PTSD, but he has no regrets. The decision he made to serve led what he believes is true calling Semper Canine Assistance Dogs. Their mission is to enhance the quality of life for wounded, critically ill, and injured members of the U.S. Armed Forces and their families by providing them assistance dogs. Using rescue and donated dogs, they provide service dogs for psychiatric alert and mobility challenges free of charge to wounded service members. December 22nd, we have text from, next Friday, we have text from Rugged Saints Outdoors. They promote healing and wellness for disabled veterans by providing them with fantastic opportunities for special hunting and fishing trips. And then December 26th, we have Brittany Kennard. It's a Tuesday after Christmas. She's a veteran that was injured in Iraq, and we'll be on to talk about the SD Gunner Fund and what they do for veterans and disabled children. The SD Gunner Fund was created to assist veterans and disabled children with the financial expense of owning much-needed service animals. Service animals require a variety of necessary items in order to perform their services, and it includes, but not limited to, vests, harnesses, assistance items, veterinary visits, and more. By the way, don't forget to check out our sponsors. They're linked above. Our partners, Project Overwatch, their campaign Paw Patrol, which is putting the cameras on the dogs, increasing the situational awareness of the officers, and allowing codependence and independence between officer and canine. Every dollar you donate will go to the cause, and as always, Rangers lead the way. Also, check out War Horses for Veterans. It's a 3-day horse and networking experience where you get the opportunity to bond with horses, hang out, and do things in a nice Midwestern country environment. Tell your no shit there was stories. Ice and Red Lake went there, had a good time, and I'm hoping to head out there at some point with get over my fear of horses and all that jazz. Don't forget, we have a show every night of the week. Tuesdays and Thursdays, join me at noon for Jose's Taco Truck. Tonight we have Sergeant's Time with Ice, Mike Golf, and Doc Madness. Pardon me. Fridays we have Friday Night Freedom with Minx and Mud Puppy. Saturday we have Saturday Night Savagery with Jay Reddy and Pookie. Sunday we're continuing the triumphant return of the Green Room with Michael and Charlie. I can't fucking speak today. I'm so fucking heated at this net neutrality bullshit. I'm sorry, guys. Sundays we have Jason and Charlie. Sorry. Green Room with Jason and Charlie. Monday we have our flagship show, the Monday edition with Ice and I believe Flash. And Tuesdays we'll tie it back around with Jose's Taco Truck and Tied Up Tuesdays with Minx and Grey Cloud. And Wednesdays are Danza! Yay! Other than that, listen, y'all heard me fucking get all... Yes, I have a fear of horses. I've been stepped on and kicked and all that shit, and I'm not... My name means lover in horses, apparently, in a language, but I don't like horses. I've been kicked and bit and just fucking... I gotta get over it. So I figure War Horses for Veterans would be the best place to do it. Yeah. I'm not sorry about getting triggered. I'm not. Because this thing is fucking brutal. We didn't need net neutrality until ISPs started getting greedy. And as someone who's experienced firsthand the greed of the ISPs, it fucks me up. And for someone whose entire business was dependent on the internet, and I closed it down. And now here, with this radio station, we're entirely dependent on a free internet. Free. And to be able to express our First Amendment, our freedom of speech. And what this does, it potentially puts us behind a paywall to you. And that's what frustrates me. That we may be able to say something or be there for someone, and yeah, I love you too, Mikey. We may be there, we may not be there for someone who needs us, and that's what's the frustrating part. This could affect us in a way where someone may needed our help or wanted to hear our voices and was a dark, dark pit. Like I was there in 15. I was there right when this show started up, and you know, I was not on the show, but I was there listening, and I was in a dark, deep hole, and I tuned in WTF Nation Radio, and I called in, and bam, I was taken off air. Hey, you good? You okay, man? Blah, 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 blah. And fucking, that was great. And I'm worried that some other person may need that. And now, because net neutrality is gone, we may be put behind a paywall, or our servers may be put behind a paywall, or Facebook may be put behind a paywall, or Mixer, or YouTube, or TuneIn. And that one person or 2 or 5 or 10 or 50 or 100 or 1,000 can't get through. And we lose another one. That's what fucking bothers me. That being said, I'll leave you with that final thought. I hope you all have a great afternoon, and I'll see you all tonight for Sergeant's Time with Ice, Mike Golf, and Doc Madness. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, shots.
Take this photograph, tell me what it is you see when you look at me. Deep into the photography, I don't really need your sympathy, just tell me your thoughts. Have I got what they got, and is it a plot done for naught? Am I not like you, because I do what I do? Who knew that I could lose a few of you, cause I bleed blue? But it's true, I know, cause I see it every day as I work and I sleep the day away. Like you I have pain, and like you I have fear. Can I pay all of the bills and still make it through the year? Will I make it home alive? Should I pray to the sky every day and every night? Will I hold you by my side? But in the public eye, I don't even have a heart. A robot of the system moving only when I'm told to start. Rip apart my art, I'm strong like a flower blooming. You got it all wrong, I know. Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see. And like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see. And like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human.
Call me a vet like a soldier, Green Beret, 21 gun salute, don't wanna see today. In the constant war zone, in the home of the brave, where they hate the police until they saving the day. I got kids like you, a mortgage like you, so blue lives matter, and so does yours too. All this separation and divide, open your eyes. If you cut us all open, we the same inside. The only difference is I run to the gunfight. Your peace when it's chaos, when the people don't act right. But I'm under scrutiny for trying to protect me. You pull a pistol and I'm shooting for trying to contest me. I got a quick second to make a deadly decision. The media betrayed me like a kid for a living, like I'm cold with no heart, a brain with no thoughts, a body with no feeling, a life with no cause.
Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see. And like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see. And like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. I'm damned if I do, and damned if I don't. It's like every single time I say what's on my mind, they go for my throat, they spew evil words. If you are absurd, always grinding, grinning, and killing my soul with these verbs. Hold me down, like I can't gasp for air. I'm closed inside of a box, like I'm inside Fort Knox. Every time that I'm there, I don't know why they think that I'm different from you. All that's true is I'm a like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see. And like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see. And like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see. And like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see. And like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.